Well, the Hornets and the Nuggets split the season series, each winning a couple of games and taking one of those games on the other's home court. An X factor, could be the combustible J.R. Smith, who averaged over 21 points a game against the Hornets this season, his former team. Smith had 11 threes Monday night, by the way. Now, the key matchup in this game, it's going to be a Picasso at the point guard position, Avery Johnson. We talk about Chris Paul of New Orleans and Chauncey Billups, who was acquired in an early season trade by Denver from Detroit. How do you see it playing out?
Well, here's the deal. With the Denver Nuggets, the reason why they got Chauncey Billups was to get past the first round and have a chance to win the championship. Okay, this trade will be a bust, just like it was with the Detroit Pistons, because Iverson's not even playing for them this year, the rest of the season. So for Chauncey Billups, he needs to come in and play his game, but he's going to have a tough task because he's playing against somebody who we argue about, but he's the best point guard in the NBA right now, and Chris Paul. Yes, he is. And pick and rolls, you know, like Stockton during my time was one of the best pick and roll players. Chris Paul can manipulate and change gears on pick and roll. He loves to drive, but Chauncey Billups, big shot Billups, loves to pull up from behind the three on pick and rolls. Different styles, but just as effective. Chris Paul's, you know, he averages at least a steal a game. Okay, here he is in transition, but look at the vision. Great pass behind the back to David West. Billups, on the other hand, he loves to stop and pop. That was a long two. I don't think that's going to happen in the playoffs. He's going to make the three. But also, they both are go-to guys. Paul can score going left, score going right, but he can make big shots. And he's telling Mr. Big Shot, Chauncey Billups, I'm ready to take the big shots in this series. Also, Billups is strong on defense. He can get steals and take the ball to the basket. Here's an and one against the Lakers, driving in between defenders. So he was brought in this year to take a lot of pressure off Carmelo Anthony, saying, Melo, look, you're a great player. Wade has had success in the playoffs. LeBron James have had success. I'm here to help you now. I've won a championship. Let's get you past at least the first round.
Yeah, Carmelo Anthony hasn't been out of the first round since he's been in Denver, Jamal.
Yeah, you see, he talks about point guards all the time because he was a former point guard. You know, so we'll give him that. But I think it's going to come down to the bigs down low. I mean, look at the Tyson Chandler. He's hobbling into the playoffs with an ankle injury. He missed a lot of time throughout the season. And also, Nene for the Denver Nuggets, Kenyon Martin, these are big, strong guys, athletic guys that really can get it done in the post area. So without a healthy Tyson Chandler in the lineup, and then you go to that bench and you see a Hilton Armstrong or a Sean Marks, that doesn't match up with the Denver Nuggets big man. And then you got Chris Anderson from the Denver Nuggets, one of the shot block leaders in the NBA, playing strong down low. So it's going to be a tough night for the New Orleans Hornets. But David West, I think he has some answers down low as well. He can shoot the ball as well as post up. But the Denver Nuggets bigs are just too much for the New Orleans Hornets.
Like Tupac Shakur, all eyes on Carmelo Anthony. Imagine you're sitting at the draft and you watch Darko Milicic get picked in front of you. You start off the season, get suspended by your team. During the season, you get suspended by your coach. You got to watch both of your good friends, Mr. Wade, Mr. James, become MVP candidates, advance in the playoffs. Then, this year, you finally don't get a chance to go against the Spurs, who are championship season. You don't have to go against the Lakers, who are the best team in the Western Conference. So for Carmelo Anthony, and he even cut his hair coming into the season. He had a different mentality. This is what he's playing for right now. Melo will go off. This matchup fits him versus this team.
It seems like a long time ago that Carmelo Anthony was suspended by the Nuggets for refusing to come out of the game when George Karl wanted him to come out. Who do you pick in the series?
Denver. Easy.
I'm taking the Nuggets.
Denver. And in this series, George Karl probably is never going to substitute Carmelo, so he'll play the whole game.
And I was hoping one of you guys would switch between now and our production meeting. Well, just like the 2-7 matchup out west, we didn't know the 3-6 matchup until the last night of the regular season in the NBA. But Dallas's win over Houston and San Antonio's overtime victory over New Orleans ensured that these two Texas rivals will meet again in the playoffs, and it should be another colossal showdown between two teams who have come to know each other quite well over the last few years. 0-3, Steve Kerr hitting a key shot for the San Antonio Spurs. And then the last time they met in the playoffs, Dirk Nowitzki with an and one on the Ginobili foul. And the Mavericks went on to win this series and go on to play the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. Jerry Stackhouse was a key contributor on that team as well. And who's that guy? Woo,
nice haircut.
What a different haircut at the time. Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, two key contributors still for their respective teams. And look at the record of wins, 50-win seasons by both the Spurs and the Dallas Mavericks, amongst the best in the NBA, topped only by the Lakers' 12 back in the 79-80 and 90-91. Avery Johnson, you know a lot about these two teams. How do you see this series playing out? They split the season series 2 apiece.
This is going to be a great series, guys, and this is the one series that I'm obviously going to have my eyes on the most. This series is with two great cities, okay, Dallas and San Antonio. As much as those cities are different, also their two star players are different. Tim Duncan and Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk is one of the best shooters. He loves to post up around the free throw line, loves to face up. He plays all over the court. One of the best three-point shooting big men to ever play in the game. Tim Duncan loves to dominate the left box and left side. Pretty bank shot. Can drive the ball to the basket. 4 championships, a great defender. So, you know, these two guys are really different, but they both are only separated by one thing, and that's championships. And I know for a fact, Dirk Nowitzki, he is really fuming because he wants to have another chance to win a championship. And because he's worked so hard, and I was the one to see it on a day in and day out basis, he's one of the guys that deserve one.
Jamal, how do you see it playing out?
Well, I got two things. I got first the point guard matchup, Jason Kidd versus Tony Parker. I remember last year when Jason Kidd came and they had to face the New Orleans Hornets and Chris Paul torched him. He went by him at will. I mean, it was almost an embarrassment. Tony Parker is a similar point guard, can get into the lane, can knock down shots, and can get to the basket at will and finish at will and find open players. So Tony Parker will live in the lane. And if there's no Jason Kidd on Tony Parker, who are you going to go with? J.J. Barrera? I think Tony Parker can handle that matchup. But the other thing is defense for the San Antonio Spurs. I look at when they play a grinded out style, and the Dallas Mavericks are a jump shooting basketball team. They will have a hand in their face constantly with a lot of pressure. I see this thing going 7 games.
You're going to the all-star big men. You're going to the all-star backcourt. I'm going to a guy who probably won't make an all-star team, Jason Terry, but he's the most important player in this series. My 6th man of the year, he's the guy that's the pulse and the personality of this Dallas Mavericks team. Yes, Dirk is the guy that they're going to get the ball to the first 3 quarters, and Josh Howard has to find his consistency, but Jason Terry is steady with his attitude, his killer instinct. He's a guy that's going to be a problem for the Spurs, and he's the reason why I'm leaning.
Lean a little bit more, like lean back like Fat Joe. Tell me, who are you picking the series?
I'm taking the Mavericks. Without Manu Ginobili, I just think that the Spurs will not be able to score enough points.
I am concerned about Tim Duncan's health, and also with Manu Ginobili. And also, playoffs are about matchups. I know for a fact the Mavericks love playing against the Spurs. So again, maybe the Mavericks at the finish line by a nose.
Mavericks by a little? Mavericks, Jamal?
I got the Spurs, and everybody talked about the Spurs maybe slide into that 5th seed or 6th seed, but they got the 3rd seed, even without Manu Ginobili. There you go. So I'm going to go with the San Antonio Spurs. It's going to be a 7-game series, though, with San Antonio coming out on top.
Should be a great series and a great rivalry continued between these two teams. Well, we have a lot more to come on the show. If only you could stick around, and you sure should, because the Celtics, as they get ready to start the playoffs without KG, will they be bounced? We'll find out.